Good morning, everyone. Thank you so very much for joining us for episode number 19 of our Wednesday Wisdom devotionals. I appreciate you being here. I hope that you are having a good morning. We've been speaking of the family for the past few weeks and talking about the roles of each individual within the family. A few weeks ago, we talked about God and how He is the ultimate architect of the family. He is the builder, that unless the Lord builds the house, those who labor in vain. And of course, last week we talked about the husband, the man, and how he is to lead. He is to be the spiritual leader of his family, to lead his wife and his children into a better relationship with God and a stronger and deeper relationship with Him. Of course, he leads in the way of loving sacrificially. And this morning I wanted to talk about the wife and how important she is, and not just as a wife and as a mother, but a woman in general. And the role that she can play in strengthening her marriage and strengthening her family. I guess if you could say that the husband is the leader of the family, then it would be safe to say that the wife is the builder of the family. And this is what I mean by that. Our reading this morning comes from Proverbs 14 and verse 1, and this is what Solomon says. The wisest of women builds her house, but folly with her own hands tears it down. And I started thinking about the role in which are the wives of families, of marriages and families, and what they play. And Solomon just essentially says their contribution is to be builders of the family. Now, it doesn't mean that she is the only builder of the family. It's not exclusive to her. Just as leadership is not exclusive to the man. There are times where, just based on personality, strengths, and other things that brought to the table, where maybe the woman leads to a certain degree in terms of rearing the children and taking care of things around the home. Of course, the man obviously contributes to the overall health of a marriage and family as well. So he is a builder too. So these two concepts are not exclusive. But Solomon does focus, at least in his wisdom, on the role of the wife as the builder and the power that she has in her marriage and the power that she has within her family. And as I was traveling over the weekend, I was thinking, when I hear the word building, I often go to the thought process of building materials. What do you build with? And throughout Scripture, whether you look at the Old or the New Testament, they are very leery of the building materials, making sure that we choose wisely what those materials are. And of course, what Scripture will highlight is that we choose the building materials that will stand the test of time, that will endure the storms that come our way. So we must choose wisely. So what does a wise woman choose as her building materials? That when it comes to her life, when it comes to her marriage, when it comes to her family, what are the materials that she should look for to bring into those arenas in which she can build a very strong and firm foundation and ultimately have a strong and firm home? And I thought to myself that there are at least three women that I wanted to point all of us to this morning that we could look at and hopefully see how their wisdom was manifested and realized. Now, these three women aren't the only ones in Scripture. Time just does not allow us to focus on all of them. But these three kept coming back to my mind and the wisdom that they manifested and how they built their lives, their homes, their relationship with God. Very quickly, I'd point you to the courage of Esther. The courage of Esther. Esther is my favorite book in the Old Testament, and if you aren't familiar with her story, I'd encourage you to do so. But she is the one where we get the famous Bible verse that says, "Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" And essentially what Esther needed more than anything else as she went to save her people, and I'm sure as she ended up becoming a great woman of faith, was that she needed courage. I want to encourage the women who are listening here this morning and anyone else who would need so, that one of the essential building materials for a home that is built on wisdom is the need for courage. The courage to do what is right over what is wrong. The courage to walk with God when so many others don't. I'd want to point you to the courage of Esther. I'd want to point you to the commitment of Ruth. Ruth is the one that gives us the famous Bible verse where she's speaking to her mother-in-law, Naomi, who told her to go back to her people. And Ruth essentially says, I can't. Your God is my God, and your people are my people. Ruth was committed to her mother-in-law, that no matter what her mother-in-law said, even if they came from best intentions to go back to her family, Ruth said, no, I made a commitment to God, and I made a commitment to you. And she was able to bring that commitment later on into her marriage with Boaz and ultimately with the family that God allowed her to be able to have and to which she was able to build. Be committed to God. Be committed with your family. Be committed to the overall well-being and health of your marriage and to your children. Bring in as a building material as you build your home and you build your family and you build your life, the commitment of Ruth. And then, of course, I point you to the character of the wife of Proverbs 31. And it's important to know that the Proverbs 31 woman is known as the noble woman, the ideal woman, but she is not the perfect woman. There is no such thing as a perfect woman or a perfect man, perfect marriage or a perfect family. Those things do not exist. But there can be strong families and strong marriages, a strong husband and strong wife. The Proverbs 31 woman is the woman that answers the question, a noble woman, an ideal woman, an excellent wife who can find. And her character is the one that makes her excellent. Her character is the one that makes her noble. She's hardworking. She's kind. She's dignified. She's generous. But most importantly, she is defined as a woman who fears the Lord. And because she fears God, she is to be praised. Praised by her children, praised by her husband, praised by anyone and everyone who she comes in contact with. These three women, and again, this is not just to be an exhaustive list. There are several others. Time doesn't allow us to speak of the humility of Mary, the mother of Jesus, or the faith of all the women of Scripture that they exhibited. Those are important building materials too. But just for our sake this morning in the devotional, that the wise woman builds her home, but the building materials in which she uses, I'd encourage you to make and follow the example, the character of the Proverbs 31 woman, the commitment of Ruth, and the courage of Esther. These three things will help you as you build your family, as you build your marriage, as you build your life. Even if you're listening this morning and not married and not dating, but you are building your life and building your career, these are still qualities that will benefit you and help you. And of course, they're not just exclusive for women. These are things that we as men can use as well: commitment and courage and having good character. I hope that this devotional has been of a benefit to you and that all of us will choose wisely to build our homes so that they can endure and be able to withstand all the things that come after them. If you have found this devotional will be beneficial to you, please share it with your friends and with your family. Again, I'm so thankful that you joined us this morning. And if you live in the Raleigh area, hope that you can join us tonight. We're located at 911 Behringer Drive. We meet tonight at 7 p.m. for Bible class. We have classes for all ages. And if you're unable to join us tonight, Lord willing, we'd hope that we can see you on Sunday, 9:30 for our Sunday school and 10:30 for our morning worship. It's great to have you this morning. I hope you have a good day and a blessed day. Bye-bye.